Welcome to episode 64 of the What Shara Made podcast. Welcome back if you are a returning viewer, and a big hello if this is the first time you're joining me here on the podcast. I've got a couple of whips and one FO that you've sort of seen a little bit of, but I'll show it to you in action in this episode today. So I might just dive straight into my first whip that I've got here. And I don't think I'd started this when I was filming the last episode, so it's a brand new whip. And it's sort of it's almost an FO actually, because it's a pair of socks. So what I've got here, this is the second sock because I finished the first one. See some interesting pooling there. Now the pooling has not gone as anticipated. So there was a particular plan for this pooling and it did not go to plan. But that's okay, it doesn't matter, I still like them. Just not as much as if they'd gone to plan, but you know, that's life, isn't it? So this is the finished sock. And the plan was that pretty much the whole sock was going to look like this. And you can see a bit more of the pooling action here. And it's particular yarn that is dyed. It's commercially dyed yarn that, now I can't remember the brand name. Hopefully I've looked it up and put it here. And it was dyed in a particular way so that this was meant to happen all along the sock. Well, I knit them cuff down, and I'm knitting, and I got to here and I thought, it'll start happening any second now. And I got down to that here and I'm like, any second now it's going to start happening. Any second now. Any second now. Any second now. Oh, I'm up to the heel. Any second. Oh, hang on, it's starting to happen. Oh, I'm almost at the toe and there you go. And I was knitting these while I was on a journey, on a long bus train journey, the joys of Victorian public transport and rail replacement buses. So I had quite a bit of time to knit this sock, and when I got down to this bit I was super excited, but I was also super annoyed because I was just about at the toe when the good bit started happening and I was like, so never mind. There's at least, 4 centimetres of groovy. So then I started the next sock, and I am about 3 centimetres away from starting the toe, maybe even less. I've seriously got I'm probably about 2 centimetres away from starting the toe on this one, and the grooviness hasn't really started to get very involved yet. There's not going to be as much on this foot as there is on that foot. So I don't know what went on here, but my socks do not match the intended grooviness that was on the label of this yarn. It's possible that I did something weird. Maybe I started at the wrong end of the ball. I don't know. But I've got quite a bit left over. I had two 50-gram balls that were dyed together. Like they were wound together and they were dyed in the cake. So they should be, by all accounts, identical. But they're not. Well, my socks aren't identical. And there's lots of variables, of course, but anyway, it doesn't matter. Socks aren't meant to be identical. They're meant to be sisters, not twins. But that's okay. I still like them. Don't get me wrong. I know I'm giving them a hard time, but only because they didn't work out as I was imagining. And I was really excited about them. Never mind. So what I'm thinking is that because the grooviness was starting right before I was finishing, maybe the grooviness is still left in this part of the ball. So I might need a second pair of socks. Like, obviously they're going to be shorter because I think I've got, no, maybe they'll be about the same size because I've got about half the ball remaining from each sock left over. But I'll do them toe up, so I'll still do a contrasting two, but I'll do them toe up so that I can knit until I run out. And so maybe the grooviness I'll get the most out of the grooviness because maybe all the grooviness is still left in the ball. Does that make sense? But I'll see how it goes. I guess you'll find out in the next episode. So that's that whip. And I'm knitting those, not for myself, but I think I'm going to put, this is my plan, right? The Grocery Girls are having their sock bash again this year. So the Grocery Girls podcast. Hi Jodie and Tracy. And I found out about it too late last year to join in for the year-long sock bash. But this year I thought, do you know what, I think I'm going to do it. Where if you knit a pair of socks each month and you put it in their Ravelry group for that month, they have a thread for each month. You can put a picture of your completed pair of adult socks in that month's thread and you do it for the whole year. They have all sorts of cool prizes and it's really fun. And then I'll have 12 pairs of socks knitted for this year. So if I can complete those before the end of February, which I'm sure I will, I've really only got to do a tiny bit on the foot and the toe of the second sock for that and they'll be done. I did January. I definitely only just scraped in for the January one, and you have to start and complete the pair of socks within that month, and I did do that with these and with the January ones. So I will definitely have a pair of socks for definitely got one for January. I'll definitely have a pair for February, and hopefully I can carry it on for the whole year, and then I'll have done 12 pairs of socks for the whole year at least. But what I'm thinking is I like to give socks as gifts, and I know all my friends and family who are knitworthy, I know their shoe sizes or their feet sizes, so I could plan ahead and knit some socks for future gifts and put them aside instead of madly knitting socks at the last minute for gifts. Does that make sense? So I could have some gift socks put away and take part in the sock bash, and that sounds very practical, doesn't it? Now, my next door neighbour has just decided to trim his hedge right next to my open window right here. I don't know if you can hear that, but I'm just going to go and close the window. So he loves to do things like that. I swear he knows when I hit the record button and he's like, oh, looks like Shara's filming a podcast. I think I might just use some power tools right next to our window. Thank you. I'll be back in one moment. And I'm back. You can probably still hear the hedge trimmer anyway. So, on to my next whip. This one is a half object as well because, once again, it's a pair of socks and I've completed one. Well, pretty much completed one. This one is a little bit different though. Very different. Because this one is a test crochet. You heard me right. Crochet. Crochet sock. And this is for the lovely Deanne from Addy Day Designs, and she has a podcast as well, Addie Day Podcast, and I have been test crocheting the baseline socks for her, and they are Brioche, so that's Brioche crochet. Now, can you see this? I've got them on my funny little foot mannequin, so that you can get the full effect of this gorgeous shape here. I've got a bunch of ends crunched up in there. These fit perfectly. This design, Deanne is so clever. I know I say that every time I make something of Deanne's, but she really is a genius. And I've enjoyed making this sock so much, and I cannot wait to start the second one. I've stayed up really late finishing this because I wanted to show you the completed sock because it's so pretty. Oh my god, I love it so much. I love this shape and line and everything. So it's still attached to the balls. I haven't woven anything in or cut any yarn or anything. There's no joining or chopping yarn or anything like that halfway through the sock. You keep all the yarn attached all the way through. So you've just got 4 ends to weave in at the end. You've got your start ends for when you begin your sock and your 2 ends when you finish your sock. That is brilliant. And it just continues all the way. I love this so much. It is a perfect fit. Now, I have made crocheted socks in the past and I haven't been in love with them. They're interesting, and of course it's interesting to make an alternative to knitted socks, and if you don't knit then it's good to have an option, because then you can crochet socks, of course, but crocheted socks that I've made in the past don't fit like knitted socks, and they're just not as good. They're not as comfortable, and I find them a bit hard on my feet. I'm a bit of a delicate flower. These, on the other hand, fit perfectly. They fit like knitted socks, and they are comfortable. They're not hard on my feet. They fit beautifully. They're the right shape. They were not complicated. The construction was basically like a knitted sock. There was nothing weird about them. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. I loved it. The pattern's written amazingly, just like all other Addie Day Designs patterns. I loved making this sock to death. And I used 2 Regia yarns, one from my they're both from my stash, but I did go and purchase some more of this colour because I really love it. Regia Tweed 4-ply in colour 00090, and this one had been lurking in my stash forever, so, and it's a K facet one, I believe. I've got a couple of balls hanging around, and they've literally been in my stash for years. And I did initially start with this as the main colour because it starts its toe up, but I was struggling to see what I was doing because this is was a bit dark, so I swapped to this is my main colour, and I love it. Looks much cooler with the light colour as the main colour, and I'm so glad I made that decision because, oh god, I love it. And these 2 colours look so groovy together, and boy do I love vertical stripes on everything. So, oh my god, I'm so in love with this. So the pattern should be released soon because I think most of the testers are round about finishing up their socks now. Both socks are the same, so we only needed to do one during the test period, but I cannot wait to start my second sock because I want a pair. And I'm going to enter this pair of socks into the Grocery Girls sock bash as well, so I'm going to have 2 pairs in February. Very pleased. I cannot express how much I love these socks so much. I absolutely had so much fun making these. This was an awesome test. I loved doing this. So I highly recommend the Baseline Socks by Addy Day Designs. Absolutely gorgeous. Brilliant. Loved it. Totally loved it. If you want to crochet socks, this is the pair. This is the pair. Loved it. Brilliant. Thank you. Thank you, dear. It's excellent. Now, my next whip is a design whip, and you would have already seen, if you are a long-time viewer, or even a short-term viewer and you watched one of my last episodes from last year, 2017, I made a scarf for my sister-in-law for Christmas, a brioche scarf in a grey and black yarn, and at the time, I was doing it under a crazy deadline, and I just knit it, and I took heaps of photos of it so that I could write the pattern later. And I took a couple of really brief notes, but at the time I was under such a tight deadline, as in Christmas Day, that I just didn't have time to knit and write the pattern at the same time. So I thought, it's okay, I'll be able to figure out the pattern from my photographs, so I'll just knit it and give it to her, and I'll be able to write the pattern later. And that is proving to be true. I am writing the pattern later, and it's not a challenge. Brioche is like that. You can read brioche knitting from a picture of brioche knitting if you're looking at it from the right side of the knitting. You really can read brioche knitting. It's very easy to read, which is excellent. It's one of my favourite things about brioche knitting, is that you can read your work so easily, unlike regular knitting, which you can read, of course, you know that, but brioche knitting is really easy to read. It's almost as easy to read as crochet, and crochet is very, very easy to read your work rather than reading a pattern. I hope that's clear what I'm saying there. So I have been knitting and writing at the same time with this. So not just writing the pattern down by looking at the photos that I took of my scarf that I made my sister-in-law. I've been knitting it and writing it at the same time from the photographs. And this is what is happening. Now I know that this looks a little bit kind of funny here. It goes boop, rather than a nice smooth kind of shape, but that's simply the nature of the shape of the design, and that it's sort of a bit nipply at the bottom. It's lovely, isn't it? It is a bit nipply at the bottom, and that shape is rectified during blocking, and the scarf needs blocking anyway to bring out the design, so you just rectify that during blocking, and it's not a difficult block either. It almost righted itself by itself during blocking when I was blocking the original scarf, so it wasn't too dramatic. So if I show you this, if I do this, you'll see it just, once you can sort of get the idea of what happens with it when you block it, so that when you're bringing out the beautiful shapes of the brioche, it naturally takes its rightful shape. So this is, it actually looks wonky, but it's not. I think it's because I've had it squashed in a bag. It is indeed symmetrical when it's not attached to my hair. So this is coming along. I don't know if you remember the original scarf. Maybe I'll put a picture in here. So I'm knitting and writing this, and it's just about up to the part where it becomes a repeat. So it's it will be ready for testers quite soon. So if you think you're interested in testing a brioche scarf, and you could indeed, I knit mine in less than a week. So if you you could knit it well and truly in less than a week. I think I may have even knit it in less than that. And I was knitting other things and getting ready for Christmas as well. So you could easily knit it in less than a week. If you think you want to knit a brioche scarf in a test knit in much longer than a week, you would have much longer than a week to knit it, don't worry. Keep your eye on Instagram, yep, at Shara_Made, there. And Ravelry as well. And I'll be doing a call for testers, and it takes, it uses DK weight yarn, and I'll put all the specifications in the Ravelry thread related to this scarf and test knit. It's not complicated. You do have to have a little bit of patience to not patience, concentration, I guess, but once you've done a little bit of it, you can read the work and see what's happening. So, yeah, if you would like to make a brioche scarf for someone you love or for yourself, then you might like to test this. Otherwise, you can just wait until the pattern's released and you'll be able to make this scarf for yourself or someone you love. And that brings me to my one and only FO, which is my Melora cowl, and this is presently being tested by a really amazing group of testers, and it is this one. And I showed you pictures in my last episode because it was still a whip in my last episode, and by the time I published the episode, I had finished it. I think I finished it the next day. So I put some finished photos in, but you didn't get to see it in action. So this is the cowl. And you probably want to see what it looks like inside as well, because it's a little bit different. Because you've got the both yarns playing a part on the front side, you do get a little bit, things are different on the other side. Well, it's not essentially a wrong side. You've got some different, it looks a little bit different, and it still looks nice. I like it. And there's nothing to stop you from wearing it that way around as well, if you like that. I quite like that. And you've got those little diamonds that way as well. So that inevitably when your cowl, of course you can wear it like that, but when you wrap your cowl around, how do you, both sides will always show. You want both sides to look nice. Oh my god, I love this thing so much, probably because I love those colours so much. I like to wear it like that, and of course when you've got your jacket on and you've just got that bit crunched inside there, or you're wearing it over a sweater, you can do whatever you like with it really, of course, because it's your cowl. You're in charge of your life and your cowl. I'm looking at myself in the screen and it's mirrored, and I know I explained this in the last episode. I'm trying to do everything backwards and I can't really tell what I'm doing. So you could twist it around like that and pull this part long. So you've got that part tight around your neck and then this part draping down if you so desire, like that. Or you could have both loops longer, like that. Wait, get one loop longer. Oh my god, I've got my hair tangled in it and now I'm strangling myself with my own hair and a cowl. If I die, let the coroner know that that's what happened. So like that. So, I'm madly in love with this cowl. It's my baby at the moment. Don't tell her to the rest of the family, they'll be really sad. So that's my cowl. I'm really happy with it. And I'm really, really happy with my testers because they're doing a beautiful job. Really good. It's going really well. I'm dying to cast on another one myself. I've got my yarn set up. I might even wind it this afternoon so I can cast on. I shouldn't though, because I've got other things I need to knit, but who cares? Oh my god. So I'm totally doing that. I'm totally casting on another one this afternoon. You've heard it here first. So I'm really pleased with that. I'm going to take it off. I'm really hot. So it's quite a long cowl. If it wasn't a continuous loop, it would be taller than me. It's very stretchy, of course. And it's beautiful to wear. I really enjoy wearing it. I loved making it. It's roughly 40 rows long because you knit it in the round in a big tube from here to here. So it's roughly 40 rows long. So it actually doesn't take that long. Even if you did, I don't know, 5 rows a day, it's only going to take you 8 days to make. And you could do 5 rows of something a day. I love it, but it's actually really addictive. It's one of those things where you think, I just want to see what it's going to look like when I do the next bit. I just want to see what the next bit's going to look like. I just want to see what the next bit's going to look like. And next thing, you've made your whole cowl. So that's the Melora cowl. And just in case you're wondering about the name, Melora is an Australian Indigenous word, and it's the name of a particular type of stingray. And stingrays are one of my favourite creatures, and I wanted this design here to mimic stingray, and it does. And this here, the pattern, not just the shape but also that pattern where the garter stitch intersects, that makes a nice sort of, even if you're not using a speckled yarn, obviously it does work with a speckled yarn nicely, but even if you're not using a speckled yarn, that garter stitch in the round, it does mimic the patterns of stingray skin, according to me anyway. The stingrays I've met. And I love stingrays a lot, and so I wanted a pattern to honour my love of stingrays, and that's what I've done here. And stingrays hold a really special part in certain Indigenous cultures, coastal cultures, and it's something worth looking up if that sort of thing interests you. But Melora is an Australian Indigenous name for a particular type of stingray. That's how that name came about. So while I was making that, as always happens, while I was making one thing, I came up with a million ideas for a million other things. And I always have a book with me so that I can write all those ideas down or sketch other ideas. And I think I've come up with an idea. The plan might not actually work once I try and do it, for a brioche sweater maybe using this same design, or borrowing elements from this design for myself. And if it works, I might write up the pattern. I don't know. If not, I'll have a brioche sweater. And I'm going to use, well, the plan is to use, I might start using this and it doesn't work, but the plan is to use these 2 yarns. So that's a pretty good representation of those colours. They're from Bendigo Woolen Mills, and this one is called Hot Dog Mustard. It's pretty good. I really want a hot dog now. and this one is called Magician's Hat Black, and they're both 92% wool and 8% bamboo, and you can see, it's probably going to show up better in this one. You can see that obviously the black part is the wool and those little silver flecks. It's not metallic silver, it's just lighter grey flecks is the bamboo. And in this one, you can see it's got little pink flecks. One of the plies is pink. That's the bamboo. So if you can imagine this pattern in these colours in a sweater. But that's all I'm going to say at this stage, because that's pretty much as far as I've gotten, maybe. I've got a little bit further than that, but if I was to try and explain it, it's that vague that it would really just sound like a jumble of words. But I just thought I'd mention that because I had these two wools sitting next to me here. So this is a future cast on. Speaking of all that brioche, like I just was, I know I mentioned it in my previous episode that I'm going to be having a brioche along in my Ravelry group and here on the podcast, and that will be starting in March. I still haven't decided on an exact start day. I've got a very busy month in March, but March is the month that I'm going to be doing it. Oh good, now there's a helicopter flying over. I don't know if you can hear that, but it's really low. Oh my god, it's really, really low now. So March I will be having a brioche along, and there will be lovely prizes, and I was going to show them in this episode, but I think I'll wait until it's closer to the time so I can show them all together and you'll be able to see things and have a bit of encouragement. And by the time of that brioche along, I will have most of my brioche patterns that I've shown you recently released. So if you wanted to use some of those, one of those patterns or more than one of those patterns, you can do whatever you want. For the brioche along you can, but it's not, you don't have to use one of my brioche patterns to take part in the brioche along. You can use whatever brioche pattern you want in the brioche along. So you can use any brioche pattern that you like. It doesn't have to be one of mine, it could be anyone's. You could, Stephen West has lots of good ones. There's so many amazing brioche patterns out there. It's really just an opportunity to encourage you to try brioche if you haven't already, to try something a little bit more adventurous with your brioche if you've tried brioche before but haven't done too much brioche, or to try a different type of brioche. Maybe you've only done really straight brioche before, maybe you want to get into some more patterned brioche, maybe you want to try 2-colour brioche, maybe you want to try some brioche in the round because you've only done flat, or vice versa. Maybe you want to try brioche shawl because you've only ever made a brioche hat, or maybe you want to make something for yourself, maybe you want to make a present for someone. Go for your life, do whatever you want. As long as it's brioche, it can be in the knit along. And I'll be creating a thread in the in my Ravelry group for the brioche along before it starts, and it will be a chatter thread where we can talk about all the things to do with brioche and the brioche along, and share brioche patterns, ask questions about it, share designers who do brioche, all those sorts of things. If you've got a really good pattern that you've tried before, you could post it in there. Anything to do with brioche can go in that chatter thread, and I'll be drawing winners from that chatter thread. So if you like to get involved in those sorts of things, it's great. That's one of the fun parts about knit-alongs is that you get to make friends with people that you may not have known before the knit-along. You get to see what everyone else is doing. You can post pictures of your whips in there. You can show pictures of the colours you're going to use before the whip starts. You can post pictures of or links to the patterns you're going to work on. Anything you like. So even if you don't get something that you're doing finished and get the opportunity to put it in the FO thread, because there'll be an FO thread as well, put your whips in the chatter thread and you'll still have the opportunity to win something. Because I don't want to just have prizes for the FO thread, because it's all about taking part, really. I mean, it's about FOs, but it's about taking part. So there'll be prizes, multiple prizes for multiple reasons. So it's going to be a really fun knit-along, I think. So I encourage you to start thinking now if brioche has ever been something on your mind that you've thought, maybe I'll give that a go. Give it a go now. And you don't have to do something crazy and wild and complicated. You know, make knit a coaster. You know, that's cool. It doesn't have to be any massive thing. Knit a beanie. It's fine that you don't have to knit a bedspread. It's all good. It's fine. It's all about learning and learning a new skill, encouraging yourself, encouraging each other. It's good. It's all fine. You don't have to do anything crazy. But that will be the Brioche along coming in March, and I'm really excited about it. And another thing that's happening in March is that I will be going to Bendigo for the Marimekko exhibition, and I'm really excited. This is my favourite Marimekko mug that I have. I have a few, and this is my all-time favourite. Rosie! She's been pretty good. We got 36 minutes in before she barked. That's good. So this is my favourite Marimekko. I know I'm saying that wrong. I'm really sorry to all my beautiful Finnish people. Sorry, Hannah. This is my favourite. So I'm going to that exhibition in March. I'm really excited. So that's something else that I'm doing in March. But I think I'll probably see you before then. But until then, I should let you go and get back to your knitting, and I'm going to go and cast on that second cowl. Alright, I'll see you again soon. Bye!